Thank you so much for having me here today. It's really great to be with you. I found out about CMX and I was like, these are my people, and I applied to speak. So it's such a dream come true to be with you. So yes, we are going to talk about math today, and I'm going to do my best to make it fun and exciting for you. I really love people, and I love bringing people together. Happily, really is a platform that actually helps bring people together and makes it really fun for if you are, how many event organizers or how many community organizers here are putting events on? Okay, cool, a lot. I heard it was a digital one. I was like, but we have to also do in person. So I make it easier for people to be able to delegate stuff off to the largest network of freelance event planners. I love to party, and I think it's one of the best things to do is to celebrate and bring people together. But events are also really meaningful. I think events actually help us shape culture. But a lot of times, people who are paying the bill for your events just think it's a frivolous thing. Why do we really need events? Or it's big waste of time. It's a sinkhole. And what my goal is for you all today is to really help that person who just doesn't get it, to be able to understand what really is the impact and how do you measure back all of the events and what does that actually do for you, you and your product and your company. Because you, event ROI, gotta fight, what? For your right? What? To party! All right, so I'm gonna make that possible for you today. Let's see. So measuring events, is it a myth? Is it even actually possible to measure an event? Or is it totally major? So as you can hear, I'm from LA, so I was I'm happy to be in the other valley, Silicon Valley, where I was maybe they don't get major. Major means a really big deal. And obviously I think it's major. I've been doing events, this is the only career that I've had, so I've been doing it for a really long time. And we've always been kind of the redheaded stepchild of the marketing mix. It's, I think a lot of it is because we haven't been able to actually show and prove back that there is a return on investment for the work that we do with events. Especially when we now have things like Facebook or digital ads where it's kind of a big giant slot machine where the house you put $1 in and $10 comes out and the house always wins. It's really hard to say okay, well, for every $1 we put into this event, 10 is going to come out. But now I think now there's this huge people are clamoring for events and experiences, as I think there are a lot of you that are putting events together as community organizers. And I think there's kind of two things on sort of one side of the spectrum. We have society-wise, we have people who want to go out and do it for the gram and go to their museum of ice cream, get their selfies. And then on the other hand, we have people who are feeling really incredibly lonely and isolated and anxious from being on their screens all the time. So actually coming together in person in a physical environment is really, really impactful. So that's qualitatively, but actually quantitatively, nowadays, experiences are king. Brands are spending more on their activations than they are on ads. It's kind of insane how big that number is. And not only that, but other event nerds that are out there, this organization event marketer, they've started to actually quantify things, and they found out that 85% of consumers are more likely to purchase that product after experiencing it and engaging with it at an event. So no doubt, it's totally major. All right, so who here is actually measuring their events, of those people who are doing events? All right, and when you're measuring, is it kind of maybe that felt good, or are you really hardcore measuring this? I think a lot of people aren't, and also I think a lot of people are doing it wrong. I think sometimes for those people who are measuring, they're measuring everything down to sort of did you like the tacos on day 1, or did you like hamburger on day 2? And you know what? Kind of at the end of the day, we really need to focus on one thing. I call this TOM-TM, which stands for the one metric that matters. And I ask our clients when we're working and consulting them and asking them when you're doing this event, why are we doing this? What is the one metric that matters? And we usually hear it's kind of well, we want brand awareness and we want to raise profits and all this stuff. And I'm no, just choose one. And the reason why I I pull up Tom from the internet dead. He's the founder of MySpace, right? Yeah. He was my friend. Was he yours too? It still is her friend. Cool. Savannah's running in the cool club. So actually, the reason why I bring them up because a lot of the reason why MySpace failed and Facebook came over and took over things is because Facebook focused on the one metric that matters, that freaking like button, right? Whereas MySpace was throwing porn stars in your face. You could customize your screen. They were doing all these anything that they heard back from users, they were throwing it into the product. And what ultimately happened is that lack of focus tanked them. So I just use this as the Tom TM as a cautionary, but also encouraging tale to really focus when you're doing your events. You are putting all this money and time into it. Pick one thing that matters. And so this is the only slide that I have that's a lot of text, but I tried to sort of help you think about it. If the one metric that matters to you is awareness, then what you should be measuring is number of followers on social, period. If you are trying to measure your influence or your thought leadership, then let's count up the number of top-tier partnerships and press, the actual outlets, not necessarily all the people that are behind it, because that doesn't matter as much. If it's all about feedback, if you're doing an event to learn from your customers or your users or focus group, the number of surveys that completed is really important. Obviously, the information inside of them. But if it's sales, and I feel a lot of organizations are putting on these events so that they can push their products out, it gets a little bit more complicated. And I've worked with the executive producers. We call them the brain trust inside of Happily, to come up with an ROI formula. I'm not sure that it's perfect, but it's definitely interesting, and I hope that it's a good foundation, for you. And this is where we're going to start to get into the math. So it's A times B plus C minus E divided by E, and I will go through that now. What do you think? Is this helpful? Yes. Are you excited about math now? Oh, we love it. Okay, good. I just want to make sure. All right, so ROI, just in case you're what is ROI? It sounds like DUI. I have no idea what this is. It's what you get out of things and over what you put in, generally. All right, so the first thing, A, actually, what I was thinking was maybe what if we took this, just to make it a little bit more real and interactive, because I think formulas are great because they do a good service to reality. What if we actually took this event and we calculated the event ROI? Do you want to do that with me? Okay, so recently CMX Summit, as far as I understand, got purchased by this company, Bevy, and they have a product. I saw the product. It's actually not bad. I'm fully back it, fully endorse it. But why would a product buy an event thing, right? So let's take that as an example, and that's where I'll actually go through. I asked for an iPad, and they were like, "What app do you want?" And I was like, "The calculator." Is that possible? So I'm going to do it. So first, we start off with A, and what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the value of the product. So, and we do that by taking what we did is we took the lifetime value, the LTV, and we multiplied that by the net promoter score percentage. How many of you know what LTV is? Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to tell you this because basically this is all investors and CEOs and salespeople. If you're well, I calculated it based off of the LTV, I think you're going to get a pay raise just off of this. So this is great. So what lifetime value does is what we take as, actually, can you go back? Sorry. No, I need to go back, forward. Okay, what you do is you take the average purchase, the purchase amount. So does anybody actually use Bevy? Is anyone a customer? Well, how much are you paying for it?
Oh, I get it for free because I'm a Connect Host, sorry.
All right. So let's just say, I think it's expensive. I think it's $1,000 or something like that. 20,000?
I know it's $38 per group, and you have to start at 10 groups.
Oh, they got all these 10 groups?
You have to start at 10. That's
So it starts at $380?
$38 per group. Yes, at $380.
Okay. Plus the base fee. Okay, well, I'm just going to do it $1,000 a month because, I don't know, that's easier. All right, so we're going to take the average purchase amount and say it's $1,000. Then we're going to multiply it by the frequency of purchase. So for us, it's monthly. And then to get the LTV, you also multiply it by how long do they actually keep the product. So that's where you get this lifetime value, right? So let's just say it's like 24 months, like 2 years. You like it a lot. It's really awesome, so you keep it around for 2 years. Oh, wait. 1,000 a month times 1 month times 24 months equals 24,000. I mean, that's easy, but I'm just like doing it. So, okay, so 24,000. So that means that like actually every single person that showed up to CMX is potentially worth $24,000 to Bevy. That's a lot, right? Okay, so then what we're going to do now is we're going to take, hold that thought in your mind, and then we're going to take that that value, and then we're going to multiply it. Really, we're going to actually like dilute that number by the Net Promoter Score. Do you all know what the Net Promoter Score is? Show of hands. Oh, that you know. That's very popular. Okay, cool. So for just to sort of recapitulate for those who don't, which is totally fine. You're probably cooler than us if you don't know what that is. Net Promoter Score, what you do is it's like scale of like 0 or 1 through 10. If you get a 9 or a 10, and the question is like, what, you know, how likely are you to recommend this event or experience or product to somebody else promoting, right? If it's a 9 or a 10, it counts a point. If it's a 7 or 8, you're lukewarm and you kind of like nobody knows who you are, so it counts as 0. And then if it's 6 or low, it actually counts into negative points. So let's just say for like, actually let's do it now. Like Net Promoter Score, how likely are the people in the room to recommend CMX Summit to somebody else? All right, so it's like 50%. So 50, so that's like 9 or 10. Is that right? Okay, so 9 or 10 is the same. How likely are you to not recommend this? Like 6 or lower. We're just like, ugh. Would definitely not tell people. In fact, I would be like, don't even come. We got 1. We got 2. It's cool. There's always room to grow. Okay, so let's just say, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, it's 50%. I'm gonna just like take it, make it 52, and then subtract the other 2%. And that's what this Net Promoter Score is. So we're gonna go back to our calculator, and we're gonna take that 24,000, the lifetime value of the product, and then we're gonna multiply it by 50%. Nope. Times 0.5 is what I'm going to do. So now we're at 12,000. Okay, great. I've never done math on stage before. I'm like kind of excited about it. All right, so going back again, so what we first did was we took that was just A. That was just the value. All right? Now we're going to go into B. And B is for the bandwagon, or really like who's along for the ride. And so we're going to multiply then the lifetime value and the Net Promoter Score by the number of people who are attending. And we're going to multiply it by the people who are actually attending, because you can actually, you actually came and you were engaged, not by like the number that like registered, because those people are probably not going to buy it. And then you can also, if you wanted to, add like, I would do a conservative number of like 1% for like every follower, for if someone's like really tagging and posting things. But for the purposes of today, I'm just going to multiply it by 1,000 people and just say 1,000 people are here. So now we start to get into some big numbers, right? Now we're at 1.2 million-ish. And then after we do that, we're going to add C, which stands for cold hard cash, or your revenue from your events. So you add your sponsorships, you add your ticket sales. I would also add any direct sales for anyone who actually purchases the product today. So how much do you think that they made in sponsorships here? Any idea? I'm guessing like 125K. And then how much were the tickets? How many of you bought tickets? Raise your hand. Oh, a lot of you bought tickets. How much was your ticket? 500 bucks? $1,000? Wow, so another $1,000, and it sounds like 50% of the room did that, right? So what is that? 1,000 times 500 is 50,000, right? Oh man, this is where it breaks down. I'm gonna have to like not do the math, I think. So it starts at 1.2. Can you go back? So it was at 1.2 million, right? And then we're adding 125 plus we're adding another 500,000 actually, not 50,000. So 500,000. Sorry, folks. Plus 125,000, right? Plus 1.2 million. Is that it, or do you need one more zero? Why is it like, oh, it's because this is a calculator downloaded thing. It's not great. Okay, plus 125,000. Ugh, kill me. Why does it? Oh, and then I have to press it again. That makes sense. Okay, so here we are, this big number, right? Then now what we're going to do is we're going to subtract expenses. And when we subtract expenses, we're going to calculate your hard costs, what your event budget is. So let's say your event budget was 500,000, but we're also going to calculate the salary costs too. Because I don't know about you, but like for us, we often find like our clients are like taking their CTO. Like I actually heard someone today said like, oh, our CTO is like our tech guy in the back like for our events. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, he's really stressed out like the whole month before. And I'm like, okay. Like, so I actually like really recommend like adding in the salary costs of the period of time for all of the employees and stuff that are there. You could honestly even like defend the expenses and say like that the opportunity costs of your employee, like not focusing on building code is also a real expense. But what we're gonna do then now is we're going to subtract expenses. So everybody pray for me right now. So then we're gonna do 1.26 and then we're gonna subtract, I'm just gonna guess that they spent, I think it's high, but I'm gonna guess they spent 500K on this summit. Right? And then I think how many employees? They said they had like, they told us because actually Happily is a sponsor and we have a producer that's on this and they said, I think there's like 10 people that are here that are working on this as a full-time thing or maybe 5. And so let's just say that's like 5, well now can somebody write down this number for me and then call it out? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, well, this is the interaction. Okay, so let's just say average salary is 100K.
The number before.
You're cute. Yeah, I was like, you're in it with me, really. All right, so it's like 100K, and there's 5 employees that are doing it. Let's divide it by 52 weeks. So it's like $9,615 a week. And then let's just, we're going to multiply that by, let's say they put 6 weeks full-time into this. So we're going to subtract now from the event expenses 500,000 plus this 550. We'll do another 50,000. Okay. All right. So what was anybody able to write that number down? Okay, that's fair. 12 million. Okay, you were really listening. That's great. All right, so 12 million minus 550,000. Okay, thanks so much for bearing with me, guys. And then, all right. Actually, this is a crazy also piece of data. Did you know that for every hour, and can you show my slide? For every hour of event time, it takes 100 hours of planning time. So that's why you have 5 or 6 people, you know, like on your team trying to push this thing out the door. It's nuts. So then we're going to take that total number, the value multiplied by the number of people, by the bandwagon, adding in the cold hard cash, subtracting the expenses. That's what you got out of this. And then you're going to divide it by what you put into it, which is, again, the E, which was divided by 550,000. And then we get, can you show the calculator? Is it up? Oh, then we get a 20x return. That's huge. That's why they bought this thing, because they're getting huge ROI on this right now, right? So yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's really the event formula. I hope that this is helpful to you. Again, like I said, like this is the way that we think about it. I hope there's some concepts and stuff that you can take. it's a black art, you know, like all of this like ROI calculating stuff. Again, the event space has been trying to like crack this code for decades. I think we're kind of finally getting it, like more and more as like people in the online space figure out Net Promoter Score and all this stuff. But hopefully this helps you not only just like prove, like if you like need to sort of like defend a budget or figure out what your budget is and what you feel comfortable with spending, have that conversation in a quantitative way with the people who are writing the checks both internally, but this can also be a really great tool for if you need to get sponsors for your event. A lot of times sponsors have no idea how to quantify things. So if you're like, oh, like let me show you how you can calculate your ROI in participating with our event, then like throwing down like all this math and all these numbers, they're going to have a lot more confidence in you being able to come in and spend their money and actually give them a return on investment and be a true partner of this. And in case you don't want to figure out your own math calculations and stuff like that, we also made a calculator. And you could just go to happily.io/ROI. It's actually even smarter than like me up on stage doing it. So enjoy. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Woo-hoo. Give Sarah a big round of applause.